Want a simple daily habit that will turn back your cellular clock? Well, a new study suggests that if you take vitamin D3 every day, that you'll actually slow down the aging mechanisms within the cell. So what we'll do is let's break this study down and we'll talk about it in simple terms. We'll look at the dosing involved over the course of time, what is necessary so that you can actually implement this information and start slowing down aging in your body today. Before we get started, I'm Dr. Nick Zyrowski, and as always, it's a pleasure hanging out with you in today's video. This information is critically important to your overall health and well-being, so stick around to the end. Now, this information comes from a major sub-study of the VITAL trial. It involved over 1,000 adults aging from anywhere from 50 years of age and older, and they looked at them over the course of 4 years. They had these individuals take 2,000 IUs of vitamin D3 daily. Half took the 2,000 IUs of vitamin D3, while the other half took a placebo. And what they found is that the participants who took the vitamin D3 lost about 140 fewer DNA-based pairs compared to the placebo over the course of 4 years. This is equivalent to what is considered nearly 3 years of slower cellular aging. This was determined by measuring the telomere length. Now, I think that we could actually get better results than this study demonstrated, and I'll share with you in just a moment how to do so. But first, let's talk about the telomeres, because as I mentioned, they were measuring the telomere length. Well, what is a telomere? Now, telomeres are like the plastic tips on the end of your shoelaces, but this is for your chromosomes. Now, they shorten with each cell division, and when they get too short, the cell stops dividing or dies, and this is going to speed up not only aging, but also the risk factors for disease. You can actually test your telomeres. It's considered a very accurate way and one of the truest ways to determine your cellular age. And when you get a telomere test, essentially it will tell you what your true age is. So if you're 55 years old, you may get a telomere test and find that your true cellular age is 45. Or on the contrary to that, you may find out that your true cellular age is 65, which would mean that you need to double down on some really positive lifestyle habits. So this is what essentially they did here is they tested the telomeres, and vitamin D3 actually helped with the telomere health over time. But there was actually quite an interesting twist to this study. They actually utilized omega-3s as well to determine, well, if vitamin D3 would do this, will omega-3 offer the same results to the aging activity in the cell? And basically they found out that, well, no, taking omega-3s didn't offer you those same benefits. Now, by the way, omega-3s are very beneficial to take, but just in terms of telomere activity, it didn't really do anything to them. Now, why this actually matters is important because the study suggests that vitamin D can support DNA protection, reducing inflammation and enhancing the telomerase activity, which is basically going to equal a better health span for you, meaning a longer life with less disease. And who doesn't want that? I also want to point out that in this study, something interesting happened here. They were taking a very low dose of vitamin D, around 2,000 IUs per day. So instead of measuring sufficient levels, like were these individuals operating at sufficient levels of vitamin D in their body, they just had them take a low dose every single day, and this was the result of it. Dr. Joanne Manson, a study co-author and a professor of medicine at Harvard Medical School, she said that large doses of around 10,000 IUs or above of vitamin D could elevate calcium levels and cause potential dangerous issues in the body like toxicity. Now, I want to point out that I don't necessarily agree with this sentiment because the fact is that we see a lot of modern healthcare constantly fear-mongering around vitamin D, saying vitamin D is going to make you toxic. The big point that you need to know here is that taking vitamin D appropriately is very important. You know, I think back to my cousin who asked me for some help with her health, and she was taking over 50,000 IUs of vitamin D per day. Now, the bad part is she wasn't taking it appropriately. She was taking just plain old vitamin D. You want to be taking the active form, vitamin D3, and it needs to be combined with K2. As Dr. Joanne Manson mentioned, who is the co-author of this study I'm talking about, she said, well, it actually could elevate calcium levels. Well, that is what vitamin D will do if you're taking it. However, when you take it with vitamin K2, it helps keep the calcium out of the arteries and the organ systems and keeps it into the bone where you want it. So then you have stronger bones, stronger teeth. So this is really not a concern if you're taking vitamin D appropriately. And the point I make telling you the story about my cousin is that she was taking vitamin D without the K2 and she was taking it inappropriately, meaning that, yes, if you were to take 50,000 IUs of vitamin D inappropriately over a long period of time, that definitely could have some negative health effects. You don't want calcium building up in your arteries, for instance. And one of the great travesties of modern healthcare today is that millions of dollars, may I say billions of dollars, are spent on cancer research, all while not telling people the simple things they can do to dramatically improve their health, like take vitamin D every single day. Now, if we look at how much vitamin D you actually need, for me, I live in Michigan. It's a very cloudy state and we have harsh winters. So therefore, almost everybody needs to be taking a vitamin D. And the fact is that most people are deficient and their doctors aren't looking for it and aren't telling them this. We'll talk about dosing in just a second, but first I want to point out vitamin D has a very important role in your body. It's important for stronger bones and teeth. It's important for your immune system to function right. It's important for better mood and mental health. It's important for your cardiovascular health. It will support weight loss and metabolism as well. Also, it slows your cellular aging, as we're talking about in today's video, and it offers cancer protection benefits as well. So if we want to actually get the benefits of slower aging and all these others, we have to make sure we have sufficient levels of vitamin D. And I will tell you that it's important to take vitamin D3 with K2, and the amount of D3 that I typically talk about taking is if you're trying to maintain your vitamin D status and you're happy with where your levels are in your body, around 5,000 IUs is pretty good. If you're trying to build your vitamin D levels in your body, taking about 10,000 IUs is important. And what I'll do is I'll put a link in the description below to the vitamin D3s with K2 that I use personally and with my family and in my clinic, because I think that quality matters. It's important. Now, when we look back on this study here, one of the things I want to mention is that it was looking at individuals that were 50 years of age and higher and only over the course of 4 years. So I often wonder if we were to actually start making sure that our vitamin D levels are sufficient at a younger age, and we aren't just looking at it over the course of 4 years, but over the course of 20 years, 30 years, and beyond, then I bet you that we could actually get better results with this. Now, in the study, they only used 2,000 IUs of vitamin D. I think that we could actually get better results with this by taking around 5,000 IUs a day, and if you're deficient, up to 10,000 IUs per day. This is how we could actually take this information from this study and know that we could do our body more good by actually utilizing vitamin D appropriately and not just in a short span and waiting till we're 50 years of age. Vitamin D offers tremendous health benefits, and we should act now. Start taking the appropriate amount of vitamin D now, and you also want to get your blood levels checked. Once again, in the study, they were just having these individuals take 2,000 IUs without checking sufficiency levels. If we actually check the level of vitamin D that's in our body and make sure that we're sufficient all the time, then we are going to find ourselves in a much better place across the board with all the benefits of vitamin D that I mentioned. If you're wondering what sufficiency looks like in a good, healthy body, I did an entire video on it, and I'd highly recommend that you watch it. Go ahead and watch this video up here next.